All right, welcome back to Dad's Deals and Dumbbells, where the podcast meets dad life, business hustle, and the barbells.
I'm Dr. Mitch Quill, chiropractor, dad to 3 wild kids who keep your spine and your sanity in check.
And I'm Joe, lawyer, business owner, real estate investor, part-time taxi driver for my kids' activities.
And today we're pumped to have a guest who's taken endurance and coaching to a whole new level.
We're talking to Coach Joe LoPresto, founder of Experience Triathlon, dad, stepdad, a guy who knows the trick between balancing family, business, fitness. He knows it's a marathon, not a sprint. I think that's probably fair to say.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's jump into it. Now, before we bring in Coach, Mitch, how's your week been so far?
Since we're coming off of a long holiday, I haven't done a single thing business-wise today, other than some like networking stuff.
you woke up and showed up here?
No, I worked out, got a good lift in, led a fitness, like a workout class from that F3 morning group. That was pretty good. Did some core stability, mobility stuff. All of them were like dying. They couldn't core breathe, and all. It's funny. Like, here's how you brace your core. They just couldn't do it. Then over the weekend, we're running around like crazy with the kids, and then I was just happy that I could make a brisket. Had some friends over for a barbecue yesterday, and I didn't burn it, so I was happy. Made some burnt ends out of it too. That's the best part.
Well, that sounds very nice. I learned a valuable lesson as a result of my 16-year-old daughter this weekend. She told me that she didn't have any shorts, and I said, well, let's go get some shorts. Do you want me to go with you, or do you want Mom to go with you? Oh no, I can go. I said, well, let me give you some money. So I give her a few dollars, and that was a couple days ago. Yesterday morning, I wake up, and I said to her, hey, I need to go run a couple errands. Did you get any shorts the other day? She's like, oh no, I wasn't able to get anything. I said, well, do you want to go? We'll go a couple stores. Sure. So we go to the stores. Mind you, I gave her cash. And we go, she picks some things out that she wants. We get to the counter. I said, did you bring the money? No. So she got new clothes, and she got cash. And Dad paid for it all.
She knows what she's doing.
Beautiful.
She was a smart kid. Smart kid.
She's business savvy.
Yeah.
She was. And perhaps I'm wrapped around her finger, and that's just how it is.
That is
So, Coach Joe.
Hey, Joe.
You've got I know you, but for folks who don't, I've got a little of your background here, and you certainly can add to it. You are an expert level USA Triathlon certified coach,
True.
level 2 Training Peaks certified coach,
Yes.
USAT certified race director, meaning that you're the guy that runs these races.
Yeah, like the Naperville Triathlon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Runs as in puts them on, or runs?
Yeah,
2
produces
feet?
them. Yeah.
Yeah. Founder of Experience Triathlon. You've been a race director for Naperville Sprint Triathlon, Lake Zurich Triathlon, which is coming back this year.
Yes.
In July, right?
Yep.
And then you have the indoor series that Experience Triathlon puts on as well. You got a Lululemon Athletica Ambassador alumnus. Doesn't mean you get free clothes?
Yeah, I did in the first year, right, when I was an ambassador.
You need to call Coach Joe.
Yeah.
That's
That was a
good
fun
clothes.
gig. I enjoyed it. Different.
Yeah.
I know you've worked for several years doing personal training for staff at Lifetime Fitness, where you developed and coached endurance training programs for running, swimming, cycling, triathlon, and strength conditioning at 4 locations in the Chicago metro area.
Yeah, I had folks involved, including the new Romeoville when they opened up. We were in here.
Wow.
Love that one.
And I see that you're also USA Swimming Certified Stroke and Turn Official.
Yep. One of my dad duties years ago. Go to the swim meets, those white guys in the white suits that are standing there watching everybody flip turn. That was me, giving back.
I feel like sometimes with the swim parents, they don't warn them in advance how much volunteering there is that comes with it.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot.
There is a lot.
Every
Just being
parent
a
that I know.
swim parent is a lot. All the
Is it
meets.
more than just being a soccer mom?
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah,
Plus the
you're
pool
working the
deck,
events.
if you haven't sat on a pool deck all day Saturday and Sunday with all the chlorine and the smell, you're not living.
Just doing like 30 minutes with my kids doing swim, I'm like, I gotta get out of here.
It's a new
Yeah.
cologne that we
It's
all
too
wear.
Try
hot.
being in there for 8 hours, 2 days in a row.
No thanks.
Not good.
So I know you've helped hundreds of adults learn to swim. I credit you for teaching me how to swim a lot better.
Well, thank you.
I knew how to swim before. I wasn't very good. 2 lessons, and I got quite a bit of improvement from you.
Oh, that's great.
Certified USA track and field coach, and then prior to establishing Experience Triathlon, which is your main gig now, you had leadership roles in corporate America, including IBM, Nike, Boy Scouts of America, United Way, and you worked with the Wheatland Athletic Association. It's quite the resume.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's been a great journey. a lot of fun,
Yeah, for
a
sure.
lot of experiences.
Yeah.
And feel like I've helped a lot of folks along the way, and many of those positions, companies, and roles were all about mentoring, coaching, advising, and teaching, which has kind of been my core thread through my career.
Yeah, so then tell us a little bit more about Experience Triathlon. Like, what's that all about?
Yeah, Experience Triathlon is a company that I founded, as Joe said, about 20 years ago, and I was really into the sport of triathlon and running, and I was volunteer coaching at Lifetime Fitness. I was running their run club over there, just giving back as a runner and a triathlete. They asked me to, create a 5K beginner trip class for one of their 5K races they were doing. So I created the class and 30 people signed up, and the next thing I knew, I was kind of formally coaching on a volunteer basis at Lifetime Fitness. That led to a 10K class, half marathon class, a tri class that I developed and executed there, all just still while working at IBM and giving back to the community and really not realizing where things were going to go and no intentions at any point in time of leaving IBM and starting a company.
So what did you do for IBM?
What's that?
What did you do for IBM?
I had a lot of different positions. I started in engineering, so I have undergrad in engineering, and then that led to a role out in the field. That's how I came to Chicago, to work with customers and support them with their technical sales, and then into consulting and management, and eventually led a couple of different business units in the Midwest, covering things like outsourcing and services and things of that nature. So good gig, lots of different jobs, very interesting, great company, loved working there.
So then were you able to take any of those things and translate that over to, do those business management things, does that translate over into like coaching triathlons or even just?
Yeah, for
Or,
sure. I think in both as a coach, but also as a business owner.
Yeah,
The things that I learned in 25 years of being at IBM and all those management positions certainly helped me just be a better entrepreneur.
Well, so I got to ask that question. You're in corporate America for more than a couple decades,
Yeah.
right? How do you pull the trigger of going from corporate America to independent entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's a great question and a really interesting one for me because, I did go to business school while I was at IBM part-time and, obviously made some friends and we stayed connected. And some of these friends would come to me every couple of years with another business idea to start and leave. And none of that felt right. So I just kept plugging along as an IBM executive guy. And I didn't think I would probably leave. When I got into the volunteer coaching piece and all it started really impacting, a lot of people's journeys, folks were coming back to me and going like, you really have helped me out a lot. You should do this full time. And I kind of brushed it off because I thought to myself, personal trainers and coaches, it's not a really great financial setup there from a earning standpoint.
For sure.
And I was already doing pretty well as an IBM guy. So I just really didn't put anything on it. I just kept
it would
volunteering.
have been a bit of a pay cut.
Yeah, I'm not gonna probably go live in an apartment with 3 other guys just to pay my rent. This doesn't sound like a good deal. So I had this half marathon class that I was mentioned to you a second ago, and I coached it, 10-week class, got everybody ready, and then we went up to the race together, and there were 5 people in the class. And I was there at the finish line doing my normal Coach Joe thing, taking pictures and, celebrating hugs. And one of the athletes, I gave her a hug and said, congratulations. And she started crying. And I said, are you okay? Is everything all right? She goes, oh, yeah, I'm fine, Coach Joe, but you don't understand. I'm a 35-year-old IT mid-manager. I'm successful at work, but I've never been comfortable in my own skin. And today, because of your help, I feel like I can have the confidence to do anything at all. And that day, that really impacted me, and I, driving home, I'm thinking like, nobody's ever really cried on my shoulder at IBM. I've had a lot of success, I've made a lot of money, but at the end of the day, we all go home, we lock our desk, and we go back to our families. I don't think that I've had as much impact. Maybe this should be my next calling. Maybe this is the business that I was meant to do. And so I started developing a business plan. I know how to do that. I had the skill. Started thinking about how do I do this and be, earn enough to sort of pay my mortgage
Sure.
and feed my family.
Yep.
And that's when I created this company called Experience Triathlon, which
So-
was, a different kind of a club and a coaching company than I had seen as an athlete. I had belonged to a bunch of clubs, but I had a different idea, a different vision of what was really going to work.
How's
So-
that different then?
That's exactly what I was gonna ask.
At
I
the
know
t-
nothing about,
Yeah.
if you can look at me, I'm not, we have the same shirt, same jeans, but,
Different shoes.
Different body makeup, different jeans,
Different shoes.
sorry.
You ran the other day.
I did run 2 miles yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did the Murph,
Yeah.
1
Congratulations.
mile twice.
That's 2 more miles than most people will ever run, so, it's a 2
Most
mile.
I ran in 3 years.
Right.
I hate that.
So how is ET, is our abbreviation for Experience Triathlon, as we call it, how is ET gonna be different? As a triathlete, I had joined a bunch of clubs, I had a coach, and what I found is that most of those groups were fairly elite level. It was the top, 3 to 5%, the people going for first, second, or third place. And I was not really one of those folks. I was, a middle of the pack kind of an athletic guy, really just solid, working out. And I always felt that maybe I didn't quite belong. And so my vision on those long rides, training rides, was to create something where everybody would be welcome. All shapes and sizes, diversity would be the power. Something that I learned as an IBM executive, that diversity was not a program, it was a strategic advantage. The more diverse our employee group was, the more power we had, because we had more different thoughts coming onto the table. This was core to IBM's worldwide success for many decades. And I believed in it. And so I thought, this could work in a triathlon club too. The more people you have, different ages, different abilities, different backgrounds, from elite to beginner, the more powerful your team would be. So that was my strategy. That's what I built everything on. The website, the images, our programs was all built around that, and that became the culture of Experience Triathlon. That did not exist anywhere else that I knew of.
And so you mentioned the website, and I just happened to pull it up earlier, and I happened to notice a good-looking guy tucked in right here. That's me. But, it's a...
So what does it tell you?
That's exactly what I was gonna say, is that- yeah.
Pretty elite-looking group, right? Only one type there that I can see.
Yeah, I don't see
Not
any, I don't
really.
see any Kenyans, so.
Not really, right?
No.
It's all ability levels.
Well, and it is, though, and you've got people that are really just beginners to people that are really outstanding athetes as well. There's a
Absolutely.
few really great ones in there,
Well-
not me included.
Yeah,
But,
national class level competitive people, right?
yeah.
Going to national.
It's fun to watch, and the interesting thing is that whether someone's brand new to the sport or someone is one of those elite kind of athletes, you've developed a club where everyone kind of supports each other, and there's not a cutthroat kind of competitive. There's a little bit of fun competitiveness to it,
Yeah.
but it's not something that's nasty at all.
One of the little tricks, and I guess you could call it a hack, right, that I used for that was, I set up like the Saturday Run Club group get-together as 50% about the run, 50% about the coffee social afterwards. And what I knew, and what turned out to be true, is that when you're sitting around the coffee table, it doesn't matter how fast or slow you are. And what really matters is, are you a good person? Right? Does somebody really want to talk to you, or do they want to move to the next person? And so it sort of self-built the culture of, everybody's the same. You can be a 6-minute miler or a 15-minute miler, but when you're having coffee, it's all about the kids, family, what do you do for work? And this is the chatter that was going on every Saturday for hours, for 45-minute run, and 2.5 hours of coffee was pretty much how it got built.
Right.
Right? And there were 1,000 Saturday run clubs like that just sort of built on each other.
Yeah. Yeah, my experience, that's kind of how, like, CrossFit was good. You do the hard workout, but then you're just chatting after, or you go hang out after.
It's a social part.
Same thing, like my morning workout group, same thing. We do a 45-minute workout and then go to coffee after. It
Exactly.
could be 10 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, it could be an hour, just until someone has to go get the kids to work.
This is really the best way for it. This is the thing that I didn't see when I was part of those other clubs. It was all about just working out, go. Get in the car, go. Work out, go.
Yeah.
No chat, no social, very little.
Feels
Sometimes
empty.
they didn't even say hello to you, especially if you weren't like
As fast
elite,
as him, yeah.
right? So I said, no, this is not the right thing to do. Let's do something different. And it turned out to work pretty well.
Yeah, made it this far. What, 20
20
years?
in, yeah.
Just get started.
Something's working. I think we figured something's working, yeah.
Now, so that was 20 years ago. So, but when you were getting ready to make that transition, what were some of the biggest challenges or fears that you had in pulling this trigger? I mean, now it's in the rearview mirror, but
Yeah.
if you go back and talk to yourself from 20 years ago, what was that like?
Yeah, that's an interesting question too, because there was this one moment that I remember, because I had a buddy of mine that I ran with every Tuesday at 9 o'clock, and he was a senior tax partner for Ernst & Young. So really brilliant guy, and we got along well. I told him what I was going to be doing, and he looked at me and goes, wow, Joe, that's like, that's high risk, man. I can't believe you're going to walk out of your corporate job like that. I would never do that. And I said, well, Don, I said, from my viewpoint and my lens, the high-risk move is to stay. I'm 25 years in. They could replace me with 3 college hires from a salary standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And I have very limited control over whether I stay or go, because the corporate strategy is shifting constantly. And so at any given time, we all live with not necessarily the fear, but certainly the knowingness that your number could come. You better be ready to go.
Yeah.
And at a culture standpoint, we actually, as leaders, we encouraged the teams to be ready to go, because nobody knows where the corporate strategy is going to go. So we encouraged our employees to have their resumes ready, to know their market value, and to be ready to move, because we didn't want anybody in our great team to struggle financially or emotionally or stress-wise if the day came that we had to pull you into the office and say, sorry, our unit's been disbanded.
Mhm.
So it sounds like
So-
corporate-wise, you had the mentality that you were even teaching to others, where you had to be prepared, and you were prepared.
Right.
So when you found this passion and decided to make it a business, it doesn't sound like it was that
looked
hard for
like,
you.
I told my buddy Don, look, this looks like the low-risk path to me. And he stopped the run right there and said, what?
Did he have a light bulb moment, or was he just
He
still
did.
not,
He was
not
like,
getting it?
he was like, wow, that's incredible. I would have never have expected that response from you. And the other reason behind that is because you got to keep in mind, I had been going for a while now, like, a year or so in this volunteer thing. I already had many people coming to me wanting to hire me, but I really wasn't available to hire. I had no business structure.
You had proof
So
of
I
concept
was,
to yourself.
I was fairly confident at this point that I could execute this and that people would come. And then I was partnered with Lifetime Fitness, because we were going to do a revenue share thing, because they were not in the triathlon coaching business. So I was going to continue to run club, and then if there was any triathlon coaching business that came from that, we were going to share revenue on that. So I had a
That's smart.
built-in, big industry gorilla
Yeah.
that had, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Lifetime in Warrenville, which is where I was sort of playing, is the busiest Lifetime in the country for Lifetime Fitness. So there's more swipes per day coming in there. So I had what I viewed as the huge potential of opportunity of people coming through the door looking for coaching. And it really helped build things very quickly.
So that sounds like that was probably part of your overall business plan, is that you knew that you had a potential market of clients in a feeder system almost, where you had potential to have additional
Yeah.
business grow from it.
Yeah, in my business plan, I had multiple, of course, milestones and launch and segments. And segment number 1 was something I called Dominate the Box. And so that was really my messaging point that said I'm going to do everything where I can dominate the coaching revenue inside the box called Lifetime Fitness. So I didn't have to worry about an outside pipeline or newsletter or marketing plan. I was Coach Joe, and everybody at Lifetime Fitness knew who I was. So the other trainers were referring people to me for swim lessons and all this other stuff. So that was really business strategy number one. And that worked great. So I really didn't have a lot of fear to jump. And it was reasonably easy to just say, okay, this is my destiny.
Mhm.
I had convinced myself that this is where I'm going to be relevant and make the biggest impact in my life coming up here.
Mhm.
So that was good for the first 3 years. Everything was great.
Then what happened?
Then,
Yeah, I was about to say. And
Where's the climax?
segue to your next question, maybe. So where did the fear come in? Well, of course, there's fear, right? So one day, Lifetime decided that they were
No.
going to get into the triathlon business.
Yeah, they don't.
So
They're the big boss.
while
saw
I-
dollar signs.
Wow.
They're the
While
big
I-
bucks still.
While I had the benefit of sort of independence and, not having a boss anymore, in reality, I still had a partner.
Yeah.
And the partner shifted their strategy. And so it was, I worked with them for 3 months and with corporate in Minnesota, trying to help them understand that our brands could coexist. Like Microsoft and IBM, I laid out the PowerPoint, I showed them how we were better together than separate. And they didn't buy in. They said, nope, we're too big and you're like a small little thing and we're not gonna partner with anybody anymore. We're gonna offer triathlon coaching from our employees. You're welcome to stay, but you have to shut down your company.
Mm.
And I said, thanks for your offer, but I'm gonna go. So now, a little bit of a trepidation, because now I've had all my eggs in one basket, which is one of the 15 things that small business owners stay awake at night. Have you guys seen that book? It's a
No.
great book, 15 things that keep small business owners awake at night.
Right now.
And one of them is having all of your eggs in one
Yeah.
basket.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have a diversified customer base.
It's funny you say that because one of the things before we opened our office, one of the things I constantly had seen from other attorneys that had practices, small practices, was that when they had one practice area, there could be a change in the law, there could be a change in the customer base, and all of a sudden their practice is decimated,
Yeah.
or they have no other streams of revenue coming in. And it was something I never wanted to do, and we've intentionally avoided doing that. But the same thing is true for our business funnel, so to speak, of where clients
Yeah.
come from.
Yeah.
Because if you rely on one, there's a susceptible
It
point
was
to
one of the
failure.
first conversations I had with you about your
Yeah.
law firm, and you went up like 5 notches as soon as you told me that I said, what area do you practice? And your response was really all of them. I have something in each segment. And I went, oh, all right, Joe, it's a smart guy.
He knows what you're doing,
He knows what he's doing.
for sure.
Done all right.
and for us,
So anyway, that
yeah.
was sort of like the point where, I had to take a gulp.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know how the market was going to be. I had no newsletter. I had no website even. So I'm 3 years in now, and I had no website. I had no need. So I had to quickly develop website, marketing strategy, newsletter, social media, and I had to start engaging the things that I had learned in business school now about marketing and doing that. I knew how to do it, but I just didn't have any of it in place.
Yeah. At that point, did you have like an email list, a lead list of like all the clients that
Well,
you
I
had?
had people that I had had,
that's
sure, and I considered that to be fair game,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
As far as from a departure standpoint, I certainly had no.
They didn't tell you.
I had no agreements or
Yeah.
anything like that that
No
said you
non-compete.
can't use it.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit of a starting point there to get going. And we worked really quickly on that, got that all done. Again, I felt fortunate that I had the business background that I had because I wasn't afraid of being the, chief marketing officer and, jumping in and getting that going and getting help.
Yeah. Yeah. You were ready to be nimble, it sounds like. You had a big
I was
change.
ready, and I didn't know what I didn't know. A lot of my
Isn't that amazing?
A lot of my advisors had told me that I should just leave the big box. Things are going great, you'll do great. Because one of the challenges we had is that we couldn't really work with anybody that wasn't a lifetime member.
Oh,
Because lifetime rules, they don't do, like I couldn't get guest passes, I couldn't bring somebody in for a swim lesson. So
Yeah.
either they would join or I couldn't help them. So there was this whole untapped market outside the box that we just didn't know or understand.
Mhm.
And as soon as we announced to the world that we were open, the floodgates just came in and we started growing even more after that.
Well,
So,
And for Experience Triathlon, is it only triathlons, or are you doing marathon training?
great question.
also?
Yeah, great question. No, triathlon was kind of the core because it covers everything.
Uh-huh.
And it's been, I had a person that worked for me at IBM that later went on to be the director of marketing for Sharper Image and is now a marketing consultant. Her concern always with the name Experience Triathlon was that it was too narrow for what we were doing.
Mhm.
And my pushback to her was saying, yeah, I'm a personal trainer, I can do all those things. I said, but that market is so diluted, the general fitness and personal training. It's just, I'm a niche player, and I want to be the best in the niche, as opposed to trying to play the whole fitness game.
You're more the luxury brand type
Yeah,
of deal.
like go in there, right? It's sort of Porter's competitive forces model, if you're familiar with Porter's book on, you're either the high cost, high quality provider, or you're the low cost.
right.
Generalist, yeah.
Right, so I mean, you get stuck in the middle of that well, and you just like die a slow death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard to get out of that one, for
Yeah.
sure.
So this is what my pushback was to her. I said, I hear what you're saying, I understand what you're saying. I said, but I'm not, she wanted like Experience Fitness or something like that.
I
said,
wouldn't
"No."
get the, I wouldn't get the
I
whole
said,
point
no,
across.
I'm a triathlete guy, I'm a tri coach. I can coach running and I do coach runners.
Yep.
Back to your question.
Yeah.
I have a lot of runners, just pure runners. That's all I do is coach them to Boston and their first marathon, stuff like that.
But I would say even like that name keeps me out of it, because if I hear Experience Fitness,
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, let's check it out. But as soon as I see triathlon, I'm like, all right, not my thing. In the
Yep.
fitness pool, that's not my thing, so I'm gonna go
Yeah.
over there. But that makes,
Yeah.
which is what you want.
yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
want a big meathead.
Yeah, it's just,
You're a big meathead?
Not a big meathead.
it's a tough line to walk.
Yeah,
Right? And, the way you get there is by convincing yourself that there's so much opportunity untapped in the world of triathlon coaching that you don't need to worry about spreading out into the people that are, doing the January 1st thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Let somebody else take that. And then just slice right in there and be the best at what you can do. And that's been our mantra since then.
no, because the
I
cool
wanna
thing is
be
like,
careful.
the whole point of like the marketing name, like I hear that type of like lesson all the time. Like, yeah, if you wanna do, like, be a generalist to everything, be an Amazon, like, yeah, you can be Amazon. Or you could be the niche person where you're gonna sell or provide services to like the niche that you wanna see. Like, you don't wanna be Amazon, you wanna be, I don't know, Nordstrom, of
Yeah.
triathlons or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, the naming, I spent so much time on the naming part when I was developing the business plan, going through, okay, what really sends the message? And the experience piece is important too, because again, if you look at our mission, it's all about the experience, right? It's experience-based, it's the journey of triathlon training and fitness training that has the possibility of changing your life forever. It's a transformational sport. And that's one of the things that hooked me when I got into triathlon. I said, wow, there's a lot more going on here than a medal at the end of the race. This is about developing personal power and breakthrough performance in every aspect of your life, not just on the race.
Mhm.
And so my performance at work, boom, do the Ironman, boom, right up there. So much more confidence, right?
So let's talk a little bit. There may be people listening or watching who know nothing about triathlon. They don't know the disciplines that are involved. So break it down for us.
All right, well, it's, all triathlons are swim, bike, and run. And that's the sequence always. Some people go like, why isn't the swim at the end? You could cool off. I said, we probably would lose a lot of people.
A lot more drowns that way.
So we're not in the business of, doing that. We're in the
Cramp,
business of,
cramp the pool.
having success. So yeah, it's hard. It's supposed to be hard. We all know Tom Hanks and A League of Their Own, right? I mean, it's not supposed to be easy.
Right.
And that's one of the appeals of triathlon, is that it looks like something that's impossible, but if you dare to have the courage to start and do the work, you can do it, and anybody can do it. I've seen amazing things, even people with no arms and no legs that are getting triathlons done. So it's pretty cool that way. So it's swim, bike, and run. There's 4 different distances in our sport, so there's a nice short version where you can get started. We happen to run one of those in Naperville every year in the first weekend of August. And there you're swimming for 300-400 yards in the quarry, and you're doing a 12-mile bike, and then you have a 5K run. And you can run or walk the 5K, and you can go as easy as you want.
And I'll say this for a pitch. That's the first real triathlon I ever did. Extremely well organized, really second to none. Very well attended, great venue. It's highly organized.
Yeah, well, thanks.
So it truly is tough to beat.
Yeah, well, thanks. We appreciate it.
And you
That's
got
important.
people that literally it's their first event that they're doing.
Yeah.
And you've got some really seasoned athletes that come back for every year.
We cap it at about 2,000 participants. All abilities are there. Each year, we run about 400 or 500 people that are first-timers because they check the box on the registration, so we know what our portion is. And that's what we want, because that keeps the sport going. And it's great to give back, and we have clinics for those folks so that we teach them how to put their bike, where they're going to swim, and kind of put a safety net around them so that they have a good first race. Because if you have a good first race, you're probably going to maybe go for a second one. So
Any kind of specific bike that they need to have to run that race?
something that works.
Something that has wheels?
With an
2 wheels,
inflatable
a chain,
tire.
a seat.
And a chain that isn't all rusted. I mean, that's normally what I tell somebody. It's like, just make sure that your bike works. It doesn't matter whether it's a mountain bike or a hybrid or.
And there are people that ride that in mountain bikes.
Absolutely.
Consistently.
And why not, right? Why
Yeah.
go out and buy a new bike if you're not sure whether you're gonna stay in the sport?
Mm-hmm. Especially if you're just going to try, like, how was it? Not really going for a top 10 time,
Yeah.
top 3 time, just to finish. I've debated on doing that, but
Should
I've
do
gone
it.
past that.
You should do it. And swimming is the biggest entry barrier in our sport. And because of that, we major in swim teaching. I mean, it's really probably the #1 coaching thing that we do face-to-face for folks is swim lessons or swim classes.
Do you get a lot of people that are like first-time swimmers, like, I don't know how to swim, like, I can swim, but like, someone come to you, like, I don't even know how to jump in a pool.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. I've even had people that have had near drowning experiences when they were kids, and now they're 50 years old. And they find us and they want to do a triathlon, but they can't really get in the water without freaking out. And so, we have to work through it from the bottom up. I had one of my athletes that was a runner in our run club years ago, and he finally said, okay, I'm going to do a triathlon. I'm tired of listening to you guys at Run Club talk about triathlon. I said, all right, meet me at the pool. We got to the pool. I said, okay, get in and show me what you can do, right? Because he's a friend of mine, right? So I just right to it. And he goes, no. I said, what do you mean, no? He goes, well, I'm a little afraid of the water. I said, oh, please don't tell me I drove all the way over to the pool, buddy.
You
And
can't
we're
swim.
not going to have a lesson. I said, all right. I said, you sit on the steps going in there. Can you blow bubbles? He goes, yeah, I think I can do that. 10 years later, I was crying with him at the end of the finish line at the Ironman in Wisconsin, where he had just swam 2.4 miles in the open lake and biked 112 miles on his bike in the hills of Madison, and then run a full marathon, 26 miles. And this is a guy that was afraid to get in the water because he didn't know how to swim.
Right. So you go from the sprint level of what you have in Naperville
sprint.
up to that level of
Yeah,
the full
that's at the
Ironman.
highest level, yeah. And then there's 2 levels in between, kind of incremental steps up. And if,
Olympic distance would be
Olympic.
right above the sprint, right?
yeah, approximately 2x, and then, a half Ironman is half of the full Ironman distances I just went through. And, we always encourage folks to, develop some level of competency at each level before moving to the next. You don't have to master it, but it's nice to have at least one good race
Yeah.
at each
Yeah.
level before you jump up. I would tell you that some people can't do that because it's go big or go home kind of mindset that's in our society. And so I do get a few calls where people have signed up for their first triathlon. And
Hopefully they can swim.
And it's an Ironman.
Hopefully they can swim if they're going to do that, though.
No, I had a guy that couldn't swim at all. So.
You signed for a full.
And it's like next week.
No, he had the whole summer to
Okay.
learn how to swim.
Oh, the
but-
whole summer.
Yeah, but
3 weeks.
Yeah. But, you know, he had a tough road,
Yeah.
and he didn't get the Ironman done. So, I mean, this is the risk that you take. It's not that you can't try it or can't do it, but your risk profile
It's high.
of getting it done is really high.
More
which to
risky
me-
than leaving IBM for doing this.
Yeah.
Definitely more risky. Jeez.
Wow. So let's talk about the types of coaching that you do. You've mentioned that you do obviously face-to-face, in person. You
Yep.
have some group classes that you do.
Yep.
As I've told you before, I think one of the most useful things that you do, which you really can't mimic anywhere else, is the swim clinic that you do, the group swim clinic, where you learn how to bump. If you ever swim in next to somebody and you bump into them, and there's a natural tendency to want to apologize to them, this gets you over it. And it
There's a
gets you
class
used
to
to.
learn how to do that?
Oh yeah, starts next Monday. You should come join us.
Yeah, Monday nights at Centennial, we call it. And,
Yeah.
you know, I when I was starting,
I'm usually there in the morning at 5 a.m.
2 workouts.
Yeah.
decades ago, I was getting frustrated as a coach because the guys that I was coaching, like you, were maybe only getting a chance to bump once or twice a summer in a race. And so it was taking 3 years for them to get comfortable racing.
Next
So-
to people.
So I said, you know, there's got to be a way. So I started asking the athletes to come down to Centennial Beach on Monday nights, every Monday night. So there's 12 Mondays every summer down there. Put them in the water with the coach and force them to bump into each other, start next to each other. And so I could simulate that portion of the race. And what I found is that my athletes were getting, by the end of the first year into triathlon, they were comfortable swimming. They weren't afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
So, you know, just a simple solution.
It's very unique. I
Is
haven't.
it a weird feeling? Have you done a triathlon?
Yeah.
You've done one, right? Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
He's done a
Yeah.
few.
Okay.
It's done a couple.
He's actually a pretty good triathlete.
I have my
He won't
moments.
admit it.
I have a new bike.
Better than me.
So, but anyway, so you have that class, obviously. You do the run club. You have long bike rides on
Group rides,
Sundays.
yep, for people that are local.
During the winter, you've got options as well.
Yep, indoor bike classes. We have a bike studio on the west side of Naperville where you can bring your bike in and ride on our electronic trainers and see how you're doing relative to everybody else. And swim classes and things of that.
So there's multiple classes and opportunities, but then there's also individual one-on-one coaching that you do too.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
So it's actually the biggest piece of our business is actually online virtual coaching. And sometimes that's not obvious on the website because of all the pictures of us racing and hanging out and the classes. But, you know, really the biggest segment is virtual coaching, which we've been doing since we started. Because in the beginning, years ago, there weren't very many coaches like myself in the United States, and athletes were all in every city. So we really had, you couldn't have your coach in your same geo. So we were passing spreadsheets, and then this company called Training Peaks created this world-class online coaching application that was built by coaches for coaches, so that we could better facilitate and design plans and manage athletes around the world. And they have developed their product to continue to stay ahead of the curve, and that's how I've been a Training Peaks coach for Training Peaks. And, you know, they may get a lead in from somebody in Argentina, and they'll send me that person's contact, and that person's looking for a coach because they can't find anybody, so.
So whether you're here locally and you're going to be taking your classes in person, seeing you face to face, or someone is across the country or across the planet, frankly, there's an option for you to be able to help them.
Absolutely. It's really what I spend most of my day doing, is coaching people around the world. And, you know, believe it or not, even teaching people how to swim. Virtually, some people are surprised by that. But the reality is, if you send me a video and Dropbox it to me of you swimming from the side view, I can do everything that I would do right on a pool deck, except I can't do it real time. I just
Right.
have to script it out, give you the instructions, and then you execute on it, you video and bring it back to me. So, you know, we've been virtual for a long time, and it's one of the reasons why during the pandemic, things were not a problem for us, because
This is
we knew how to develop a relationship and maintain a relationship. Some of my athletes I've had for 20 years since the beginning. We know how to do that all virtually.
So, yeah, so now it's all pre-Zoom. obviously. It's like Zoom
Yeah.
huge
Mhm.
during the pandemic.
Yeah, no Skype.
Yeah. So do you have a concrete location, it sounds like? On the west
Do
side
we
of
have
that
a
road?
physical location?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. We have a headquarters that's in Lisle and a
Okay.
full fitness gym there, where that's where we do our swim lessons and any strength training and things of that nature. And then, like I said, we have a bike studio on the west side of Naperville for doing our bike rides over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do barbells and Olympic platforms?
We have the barbells. Yeah, you want
Mitch
to
gets
come over and
excited.
take a tour?
I'd definitely take a look at it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's quite a CrossFit
No,
scenario.
I don't do CrossFit anymore. I used to coach it in Philippines, but it's been years.
Yeah, it's actually a nice facility, and again, we went there after we left Lifetime,
Yeah.
and a friend of mine told me about it, said, go check it out, and I walked in there and met with the general manager, and they were like, oh man, we would love to have you here, you would elevate our club if we could tell the world that you're here with your team and everything else, and so we've been there since 2009.
Oh, wow.
And we have a strategic partnership with them, and they're never getting into the triathlon coaching business.
Nice.
And so we work together, like true partners do, to try and help each other and build our businesses.
No battles with corporate
Yeah.
in the future.
No battles, no.
Nice.
So obviously, you work with lots of different folks. You work with some busy parents, busy corporate people.
Sure.
How do you adapt, or do you adapt, I guess I should ask, coaching for people who are maybe busy in corporate world and have kids? Are there any tips, tricks, tools that you can offer?
Yeah, I think the biggest aha is that some of the busiest people are the ones that actually get the most done. And, something else that I learned in my corporate career, if you got a big project, you don't look for somebody sitting in the cubicle staring at their computer screen. You find your busiest person and you say, hey, I got a project for you. Because they're the hard chargers. They're the ones that know how to move the ball and get it into the net. And our sport is flooded with, busy executives and busy people that have kids and stuff like that. So what do we do for them? What's my value add is, I help them develop a custom weekly plan week after week that fits their schedule. So like Joe can tell me like, hey, I'm traveling next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. I can't normally do my bike ride on Wednesday. Heads up, coach. And then I can sit back and apply the right training science so that Joe continues to build his fitness without having to miss what he thinks is his bike ride. And that builds that positive momentum. So at the end of the week, you've completed 100% of what I've designed, and success breeds success, as opposed to if you're following something that you downloaded from the web, you just missed 25% of your workouts because you had to travel, and now you feel like you're behind. This is not a good model. So that's really the best thing that I can do for busy folks and family and executives is understand really what's going on in your life, which is part of the personal training side of this, and then really work hard to make sure that I design a good science-based plan that's going to get you to your race. It works pretty well.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea on why triathlon seems to attract that type of person?
I
Like
do.
the busy,
I do.
does everything.
I do, for the same reason it attracted me. It's complicated. It's almost impossible to master. I love that. I find that, driven, results-oriented people do not like things that are easy. They like challenges that seem sometimes impossible. And I think that's the allure of triathlon, is that, and it's been well marketed by the Ironman Corporation, it's, everyday people doing extraordinary things that most people would go like, what? You guys do that? So it's sort of that positive ego-driven thing that makes us become better at what we do, right? That I think is one of the reasons that we're still here as humans, right? That drive to always improve ourselves. And our sport really, it's like hook for that. And it's not the only sport. I mean,
sure.
I think that there's things like CrossFit and other venues, Spartan races and things like that have that appeal. Like, this is a challenge. I want to, charge the hill.
Yeah, it's interesting. You don't see like like a bodybuilder being like a high performing like corporate person, but it's always like a smaller an endurance athlete that's doing, like a high performing person is more like an endurance athlete. I don't understand like where the disparity is on that. Like you never see like the CEO of Google is like a massive dude. Like they just look like I see like, oh, he looks like a marathon runner. It just, to me, I don't understand what the difference is. Like why, I get that,
Yeah.
but then like I don't understand what the difference. I'm like I'm curious on like why is like why are the bodybuilders always like the meatheads, not doing like high
Are they?
performing? Or
I
like
don't
no,
know.
I'm just curious on like
I don't know.
what's the.
I mean, I've coached some guys
what
who are
is their
bodybuilders.
Yeah.
They're the same as us. I mean, they're results driven. They're competitive, right? They're trying to improve themselves and become the best they be.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I think that's really like I was teaching a run class at Lifetime that I was coaching on the treadmills over the winter. I used to do like a run to become, you know, cardio fitness where I would walk the treadmill line and I'd have people on there and I would call the intervals out. All right, 2 minutes, increase your incline. It was a great class. And I had one of the athletes that was in there and she goes, I was talking, because it was like somebody called it a morning of Coach Joe, morning cup of Coach Joe, like, because I would always weave in something about a philosophy of life or something while they were running. And I'm talking about this results-oriented, type A, everybody that comes here is type A, and then she goes, I hate to disagree, I'm not a type A.
Oh, yeah?
I said, I respectfully disagree.
Also disagree.
Right? She goes, no, seriously, I am a type B. I said, you know what, I really think so. And I was just getting her going, man, and eventually she was yelling at me across the treadmill, and I'm going like, see, these behaviors that you're displaying right now, these are not in the definition of type B. You're a type A.
They're in the column for sure. Yeah.
So it's one of the cool things that I found about, you know, being part of the triathlon community. People always talk about what it's a great community, and it's just like-minded people that are always, you know, results-oriented, competitive, even amongst themselves. They may tell you that they're not competitive. What they're really trying to say is, I'm not a podium person.
Right.
But boy, oh boy,
You're
you
beating
take
yourself
time
yesterday.
to get to know them, they're as competitive as the podium person, right? So it's just
a different race.
It's just a different kind of definition on the
Yeah.
same word. And I think that that's what makes us all, like, I meet Joe, tells me he's a triathlete, I'm good with Joe. I know what he does, right? You know, you kind of have that common bond, like I know the pain and suffering that he goes through in order to achieve his dream.
Definitely.
So you touched earlier a little bit on balancing the training and family life, in addition to being the entrepreneur and being the coach and dealing the deals with the dumbbells. You're also a dad. You got some
Yeah, I
experience
am.
in that
I love
arena.
that. Okay,
And then we're gonna that.
sounds great, man.
All right, so Coach, let's jump into the dad expertise that you have here.
Awesome.
Tell us
Great. I
tell us
love
your
being a
dad
dad.
stats. Tell us your dad stats.
Being a dad is great, don't you think? You guys are dads, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when my son was born, the whole world just like shifted that day. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like up until that point, it was all about me. And that day, within like hours, it was like, oh. So I think being a parent is great. And I love being a parent, love being a dad and everything about it. And it's another thing that's really hard, right? As we all know, being a parent's a tough job. Because, you know, you might want to be their best friend, but at the same time, you know, you can't necessarily be their best friend all the time. Right?
Not all the time.
Not always. No.
Not all the time. So finding that balance, I think is tricky. And, you know, I've observed a lot of parents. I ran a large Boy Scout troop in Naperville for a decade when my son was coming through. And that gave me a whole nother perspective beyond like coaching the kids stuff. I had a view on parents based on that. But then when I got into the Scoutmaster role, I really started to see a lot of variations in parenting and what was working and what wasn't. And I learned a lot about being in that job. I picked up a lot of dad hacks from the other dads and moms as, great stuff that they did with their kids. And I'm gonna remember that one, it was really good.
Now, you told me a story once about your time in scouting and a comment that another parent had made to you about something along the lines of how they appreciated that you had the time to make
Oh, yeah, I
available
love
to
this
take
one.
care of this and
This is a great
to
story of
volunteer.
mine.
In other words, great that you have the free time to do this for my kid.
I thought maybe you might ask that, because this is about like finding time and balance, right? I mean, that's what this is, your podcast is all about.
Yeah.
And this, I think, is a great example where, this dad came down, and I had had his son for a year or so in the troop, and he really genuinely was saying something nice to me in his mind, for sure.
That's how he meant it.
He absolutely, 100%, nice guy. He says, I'm so thankful that there's guys like you that have the time to support our boys. And he really meant that, shook my hand, and then, dropped his kid off and walked up and went on to his, whatever he did, because he wasn't part of our leadership team. And that day I remember thinking like, wow, man, I mean, some folks don't really understand what's going on here. I don't have the time. I'm an executive at IBM.
You're not gonna stay home, Dad?
I've got a family to raise. I'm an athlete. I don't have the time. I make the time,
Yeah.
because this is really important, because we're developing the leaders of tomorrow right now. And, it was just that aha that said, yep, there's some folks that are gonna understand this and some that aren't.
Yeah.
But that's what I've always felt with this time, and I had these discussions with my peers at IBM also about, oh man, I'm so envious of your fitness, and you're an Ironman, and I could never do that. I've got 4 kids, and blah, blah, blah. And I would look at them and go like, you have to make time for this. You do realize that your kids can see that you're stressed out,
Yep.
because you're looking in the mirror and you're not happy with your self-image, and you're not getting a workout in. You need to make time to do 30 minutes a day, something for yourself. Your stress will reduce, and your kids will see a better parent, and that's how it's gonna work. Your kids are always watching.
Yeah.
You think they can't see your stress? You're just kidding yourself. You can't game
Yeah.
face them.
Yeah, Mitch and I have had this conversation before, and I think I've said it on the podcast before. I'm a firm believer that every parent needs to do something for themselves every day. And for me, that one thing that I try to do every single day is my workout, because
Good for
that's
you.
for me.
Absolutely.
But I got to make time for it. And this morning's a great example. I get up extra early, I work out, I come upstairs from running, and my daughter's at the breakfast table, and I'm dripping in sweat. I got to go towel off. But that was time for me to keep everything, mentally and physically in check.
Regulated to begin with.
Yeah.
My kids will wake up, like, I'll usually work out at the same time, get up at 4-ish, go to the gym, work out, I'm back by 6:30. My daughter's like, Dad, where were you? I'm like, well, I was trying to be healthy, I was working out, doing these things. Like, she's 5, she doesn't understand it yet, but she knows, like, we're doing those things. So I wonder what that's gonna be to her in 10 years. I don't know.
But
Yeah.
one of the things that you and I do is that we're up and we're doing that before our kids are even awake. So we're not missing out the time while they're
It's invisible.
awake. Right.
Yeah.
So that's how we try time anyway.
You're also role
It's an
modeling.
invisible-ish, like, she sees it, they know we're doing it.
Yeah, you're role modeling for your kids. They're always watching, and they'll never let you know that they're watching. But I always had this saying, don't tell them, show them. And all of my kids, my older kids, they were all super focused, independent, working out, good athletes, high school varsity athletes, collegiate athletes.
Oh, well.
Never once ever told them to go to practice or get up out of bed or anything like that. Always on their own clock going. And I attribute some of that to just that's all they really knew, because that's what they saw the parents do.
That was their normal.
Get up and get
Sure.
going. So they didn't understand that, this other model that other people are living by. So, model the way, show them what they're doing. I had an aha moment with my son. We were doing the Boy Scout troop, and on our second wilderness canoe trip up to the Boundary Waters in northern Minnesota, he was 17, so just about done. And we were climbing this hill, and I always came out of the water last with the canoe on my shoulders like this, walking up the hill. And up at the top of the hill, I saw my son leaning against a tree with the pack. And my first thought was, oh my God, something's wrong. So I huffed my way up there and whatever. I said, everything all right, bud? He goes, oh yeah, Dad, everything's great. He goes, I was just waiting for you because I know that what you're doing here is really hard, and I just really appreciate it, you know, because like most dads would not come and, you know, travel around the country and do all the scouting stuff. I know how hard it is on you, and, you know, thanks for doing that. I almost lost it. Like,
It's a nice
oh my
moment to
gosh.
have.
He never said anything like that before, and I didn't know whether he was watching or not, but that moment was an aha moment for me.
Yeah.
That said, they're always watching, man. Always watching.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I love that, you know, habit of self-care. Right? I think that that's really important. I told somebody recently, like, hey, you know, they want to know how do you get like this? I said, well, every night I look at my next day calendar and I figure out when my workout's going to happen. And that is my top priority. And they looked at me like, your top priority above everything
Oh, yeah.
else? And I said, 100%. Everything else is getting pushed. Everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Any funny coaching or stories you can tell us?
Funny.
I've seen a few people start the 5K with the helmet on still from the bike.
Oh, jeez.
We did
I feel
have,
terrible for them, but it's funny when
we
it
did have
happens.
that. I won't name any names, but
No, of course not.
I had an athlete that I'm very close to and, you know, love dearly, and she, I think, did, you know, the bike with her wetsuit shorts on or something like that, you know.
Extra
So
challenge there.
There are some funny things like that.
Things
that
happen. Things
Yeah.
happen. Yeah. Yeah. Any advice for dads who maybe are new dads? They're trying to figure out how to get more active, or they've been sitting on the couch for a while and they want to get more active. Any advice for first steps for them to take? Where to start? Because it can be overwhelming. You know?
It can be overwhelming, and I think really my advice is to, you know where you want to go long term. You know, have a big dream. That's what I see a lot in our sport. The folks that come in wanting to do a marathon or wanting to do a triathlon, they have a tendency to stay longer and get off the couch when they're tired. Because let's face it, we're human. We all get tired. I get tired. But if I have something that I want to do long term, I get off the couch and I get going. So have a big dream, make it big enough so that it's important to you, and then start to plan out the small incremental steps.
How you're gonna get there?
You know, how you're going to get there. I often think about it like the Olympics. Like the Olympic athletes, it's every 4 years or something like that. But they've got all these small events in between and all these
Oh, yeah.
small training sessions and
Mhm.
all these milestones that they're trying to hit. And so I think that works really well for fitness stuff too. This is why, you know, the January 1st, I want to lose an inch off my waist type of thing. I think it just goes into the nothing burger bucket. You know, there's just not enough there.
Right.
It's got to be bigger than that. And it doesn't have to be a marathon. It can be your first 5K. That can be your marathon.
Set a goal that is a bit of a stretch.
A stretch goal, right? And then put something in between there to milestone it. I think sometimes milestoning is forgotten. There's nothing in between.
Right.
You know, I used to have this discussion with some of the executives at IBM, like, why don't we pay the sales folks on hitting some milestones instead of just closing a big deal? That way we can incent behavior the correct way. Like, get to this point, checkpoint with the customer, right? Proposal-driven acknowledgement that they're considering and so on, and then give them a portion of the commission at that point, rather than holding it all the way
Till the end.
to the end, and then the end never happens, and then nobody's happy, right? Let's incent behavior that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense for sure.
Yeah, they talk about gamifying those types of things, like set a little game, little breadcrumbs to the goal. Like each time you get there, like
Yeah.
you go instant gratification.
You know what
keep
I
it
always,
going.
think of is, I love this saying, you know, the proverb thing, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. I love these little refrigerator magnet things because I like to make them bigger than just the magnet.
Yeah.
you know, and that's one right there that is basically what I'm describing. It's like, have that big 1,000-mile journey identified, and then start walking. Stop thinking about it, start executing on the plan. Vision without execution is worthless, man. You gotta have both.
I was listening to a podcast with Cam Haynes, like
Yeah.
the endurance guy, and I think he just did like a 250-mile race with like a busted foot and a busted hamstring. But like he's talking about how he broke it down into his head. He's like, oh, it's only like, I don't know, over 1 million steps for the race. And he's like, just keep counting down the steps as he's going. I'm like, you're crazy for 250 miles, but
Break it down.
but that's what he does. He
Yeah,
does the same thing.
that's what we,
That's all you gotta do.
that's what we coach for the marathon, right? Don't think about how much further you gotta go, but think about, count every aid station that you've done. Okay, I got 2 done, go. I got 3 miles done, great, 4 miles done.
Smaller steps that are easier to
Small
digest.
steps, just go aid station to aid station, rather than thinking about, oh my gosh, I
So
got
start to
24
finish.
miles to
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
right?
I think we'll call that your dad hack, breaking things down into small steps. My favorite saying is how to eat an elephant,
Yeah.
one bite at a time.
Yeah.
One bite at a time, right? Same kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
PETA, don't call us, please.
Yeah. Well, they're already gonna get on me for eating or making a brisket yesterday, so
Yeah, sounds delicious, though.
This is fun,
Very
man. You
good.
guys are great.
it's very good.
What do you have for us for Quill's Corner, Dr. Quill?
All right, Close Corner, healthy hack. Tips for busy dads. I did last week I did exercise snacking, so can't do that one again. But this morning I was leading that workout group, and I only had like 3 dudes show up, totally fine. I was kind of using like a little incubator to do another one at a different location where more people wanted to show up. So our Close Corner portion is just on how to brace your core at this point, or just breathe right, the basics. I had one guy, he couldn't even breathe right. It's like, all right, as you breathe in, your blood should come out, breathe out, your blood should come in. Had no idea how to use his diaphragm. And like, well, that's also why your back's killing you right now. But, and then trying to like have him like, all right, now brace your core. And he's trying to talk, I was trying to talk to him, and he's like, I can't do it. I'm like, dude, like, there's your problem right there. Like, you need to slow down. Just relax, try to breathe, and then you'll be fine. He's like, oh yeah, okay, this is a lot easier. I was like, there we go.
So explain for those of
Yeah.
us who don't have the medical
The
background, the benefit to doing that. You said back pain in particular.
So for him, back pain, like he could feel it on his right side as he was training, just to breathe with his diaphragm. Your diaphragm anchors directly into your mid-back, around your rib cage, and into your stomach there. So when you have a fully functioning diaphragm and core as is breathing, you have good stability in your back while you're sitting or
So-
standing or moving around. The problem is if you have a desk job, that space tends to get shorter. Your glutes tend to turn off, your low back muscles tend to turn off. You start to use your accessory muscles in your chest, your neck, your shoulders. So people will start to do more accessory breathing as opposed to diaphragm breathing. And if you don't do good breathing in endurance sports, you're screwed. So
Pretty much.
that type of stuff.
Perhaps a future demonstration on video of diaphragm breathing.
Have to
You taking your shirt off for that one?
I could.
Yeah, there you
Don't want
go.
to put anyone to shame.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Well, that's good advice. I appreciate that. Let's lighten things up just a little bit here before we close out the show. Coach, we have a segment called Joe's Judgments, and since you're a Joe, I'm going to ask you for your judgment. Is there any kind of crazy fitness trend you've seen, or perhaps business trend in the fitness industry that you think is questionable?
Ooh.
You don't have to name
I'm
specifics,
curious on this one.
but things that, I don't know, maybe you look at and you think, that's going to be a fad. Or maybe a tool that people are buying.
Yeah, you know, Joe, there's a lot of this kind of stuff in the fitness industry. That was
We all love quick
that
fixes.
was one of my learnings when I was inside the big box. Is I kind of, very quickly saw what was going on behind the scenes and the repackaging of the same old thing. Because everybody's looking for the magic bullet. And so
Yeah.
they're always looking for a change, something new, something different. So the fitness industry is great at repackaging the same old stuff into something a little bit
Shinier.
more sexy and more shiny and stuff like that. So, but it seems to work because, again, this is the nature of the humans that are coming into the box and into the fitness world. Is new fad, new diet. I mean, we all know this. We see it alive. So, my thing always has been, follow good science, right? I mean, learn the difference understand BS from reality. And, fads are oftentimes just fads. I mean, some of them will eventually stick if they're good science-based. Right. Something like the sport of triathlon is an example. It's been around for quite a long time, and it turned out not to be a fad. I mean, it started out with, 12 guys in the island of Hawaii, swimmer, biker, and a runner in a bar. This is how our sport started. Debating.
Is that how it started?
Debating over drinks as to who was a better athlete. And so the next day,
Some of the best ideas
they,
to do
they created this thing called the Ironman to see who could get to the finish line first. I mean, that's.
So the question is, who won? The swimmer, the biker, or the runner?
Yeah, I don't even know, and I don't even know if anybody knows or cares, right? So this went on for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden, the Wild World of Sports, we all remember that, the agony of defeat, all of a sudden they heard about this thing, and they showed up and saw people crawling on the pavement in the 100-degree temperatures and everything, and it just took off just like that. So there's, I guess, an example of a fad that ended up turning into what we believe is a great, healthy, lifelong sport where you can have built-in cross-training, full body. It's not dangerous inherently compared to some other fitness things. Obviously, there's some danger on the bike, but it's reasonable fitness stuff. Yeah. And I think for that reason, it's stood the test of time and still here. Even though some things like the Muddy Buddy and the Tough Mudder and some of these fad kind of things have sort of fallen by the wayside because there was a high level of risk, right? And it was fun to climb in the mud with a bunch of your friends, but at the end of the day, you're not probably going to do that for the next 2 decades. Usually not, right? So, I mean, that's an example to me of a fitness fad thing that kind of came and went. But yet triathlon still stayed.
Yeah.
Technology-wise, we've been following really closely. A lot of interesting things in tech going on with watches and computers and AI.
Yeah.
And
I just got a Whoop, or just signed up for Whoop.
Yep.
So I'm waiting for that to come in a week.
As a tech guy, I love all of this stuff. As a scientific tech guy and an engineer, I know that it's not ready for prime time yet, but someday it will be. Right? Someday, I do believe that the AI-driven software application will be able to design a great 7 days worth of workouts for you based on what you did, because the data collection will be perfect. Right now, the data collection is not that great. All right?
Yeah.
That's the problem. So garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
So the technology, I think, is something to watch. I think it's really
Potential
cool.
there.
It's being sold as if it's ready for prime time because that's a lot of marketing going on there, a lot of money invested in, venture capital and stuff and all these things. But it's not really, as a practitioner, we can see as coaching that it's not really there yet. It's 70% of the time accurate. That's not good enough for us. We need to be better than that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. I don't want to forget to ask you if there's somebody listening who thinks, when I want to reach out, I want to get some more information on Experience Triathlon or maybe coaching services. How would someone get a hold of you? How would they reach you?
I think the easiest way is just to go to Google, like most folks do, and type in Experience Triathlon. Will come up in the #1 spot.
And your actual website is experiencetriathlon.com.
It is experiencetriathlon.com, but if you go to Google and type Experience Triathlon, it's going to be there.
And from the website, there are lots of options. I use it,
Lots of options.
including the coaching,
Coaching
classes.
is the virtual coaching classes, is our local stuff, our events. We have a blog. One of the interesting things that some people don't get to on our website is the drop down on the About Us, so the far one over there to the left. When you look at, this is where we have over 1,000 pages of content. So if you look at like athlete stories, if you're looking to get inspired and find some up a little bit, right there.
Okay, there we go.
Probably 200 plus athlete stories over the last 20 years. Many of them are inspirational because they talk about transformations people have made.
These are self-written by the athletes.
These are written by, like this one you've got right there. That's a new mom. She had a baby and she still figured out how to, this one right here, whatever you're going through.
Christine.
Right. Christine K, right? She hired Coach Krista and got her through the Ironman, and she just had a newborn, single mom, dealing with, incredible amounts of stress and financial stress and everything. So there's just story after story after story there. And I hear all the time from people like, wow, I read this story. Is that really true? I mean, that person sounds like me. So there's some good stuff embedded in there.
So check out the website. You're on social media as well, both
We are.
Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram is our primary social.
And you guys publish a lot of pictures from the things you do, but also give heads up about events that are going on and so
Events,
forth.
training tips. We have a whole section in that about us, about training tips and coaching articles, things that you can read.
Outstanding.
Yeah, thanks.
Outstanding. All right, well, let's unclip from the bike, so to speak, and get some key takeaways from you. I think one of the ones I heard very clearly was set a big goal, stretch goal, and then have attainable
Check it out.
places to hit between where you want to be and where you're starting.
Start acting.
Start acting.
Less thinking, more acting.
Yeah, just start doing it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, the fitness fads definitely go in cycles.
They
Don't buy
do.
into all of them.
Yeah.
They do.
AI has its place, technology has its place. It needs a little bit more work before it's going to get close to replacing human interaction. I will say this as well, as a person who has had coaching services from you, it's not, I don't think there's any AI that's ever going to replace being able to have a conversation that goes beyond what you key into the system. That's the challenge.
It's the relationship part of what we do.
So there's
Super key.
Yeah, so a huge benefit there for support as well, especially if someone's going to go for one of those really big goals.
Yeah. I think, the biggest challenge that we have as humans and as athletes is our own, noise chatter that's going on between our ears. And as a coach, sometimes I feel I'm part therapist and part coach because I'm helping people deal with the monkey chatter that's going on in their head, whatever that is. I can't do it, I can do it, I'm not sure. And what a coach does is listen carefully to that chatter because it's going on and sort of offer a counter narrative
Yeah.
based
Well-
on experience and trust.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll say one other thing. There are lots of, it's interesting with influencers and social media, there's lots of people out there that will give advice and market themselves as specific, as having the ability to coach people. You've got the training certifications, the formal education behind it all as well, which
And-
is not the case for everybody that's out there.
And something I talked to somebody this morning about that wanted to get into coaching, an athlete, that was asking me, hey, do you mentor new coaches and stuff like that? And I said, the one thing that you have working with somebody like myself is the experience base. Because we all know that you can only learn so much from the book. And it's the difference between the practitioner that's been doing it for 25 years and somebody that just got out of college.
Yep.
And so I've seen thousands of scenarios with athletes. I've heard lots of monkey chatter. And it's easier for me to identify it. And then also I know what the solutions are. And this is the value prop for working with somebody in any field that has the experience
For sure.
versus somebody that's just getting started.
Yeah.
Definitely. That makes sense. All right. I don't have any other takeaways on that one. Those are huge. So,
Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Dad's Deals and Dumbbells. If you learned something, which I think probably just about everybody did today, or had a laugh, or just like hanging out with us,
yeah, do us a favor, subscribe, like, give us a review, share with a dad who just can't stop talking and loves to be in the trenches.
yeah, if you've got a crazy dad story of something that your kid did or something you screwed up, like I talked about last time about forgetting which school my kid went to, feel free to hit us up on Instagram or email us at dadsdealsanddumbbells@gmail.com. We've also got our Facebook page up. YouTube is up, and we will be having everything posted shortly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
So
think
thanks for
it's
tuning
cool
in.
what you guys are doing. I think it's really great. As a dad, as a business guy, I think there's definitely a need for what you guys have come up with here. So I wish you the best of success, and I'm sure you're going to have it.
But if nothing else, we're having a lot of fun along the way.
Yeah, definitely having fun. I love it.
Breaks up the
Definitely
day.
a good time. Yeah. Great part of the week. So thanks for tuning in. Go lift something heavy or going along, endurance,
There you
swim,
go. Thank you.
run, or
Thank
bike.
you.
I won't leave it
Keep
hanging.
adding that in.
I want to hang in there. I'll leave it in there. Hug your kids and keep crushing it. Get some PRs.